Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of Citizens Fiber.
Welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Here now is your host, Chad Ammond, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce.
Hey, it's Lora Kay from WHJB Morning Show, and today I am a guest and honored to be so of the Westmoreland County Airport Authority Executive Director, Gabe Monzo. And good morning, Gabe.
Good morning, Laura. Welcome to the airport.
Well, thank you. I wish I could be taking a trip right now, but we'll do the interview first, and maybe we'll talk about the trip later.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, well, recently you had about 50 community leaders turn out, and they had some lunch, and they were looking at the completion of a $13 million runway widening project, and that was happening here at the Arnold Palmer Regional Airport. And we did it not in a conference room, but we did it on the actual runway. What a great idea. It was kind of an impromptu lunch. It provided us with a unique opportunity to see the finished product firsthand, and you were very into thanking all of those who worked so hard to make that happen. Let's talk a minute about that day.
Well, that had to be the largest venue that you ever got offered a hot dog in your life. We are so ecstatic and happy about the progress that we've made through all the issues that we have dealt with in the past 6 months, 8 months, actually a couple years for us. All the hoops that we had to jump through, all the things that we had to do in order to make this expansion of the runway happen all came to fruition last week when you come out and enjoyed a hot dog on the runway. And we thought it would be a great opportunity for everybody to get to see how big it was and to stand on the runway before we opened it back up. So it was good for everybody.
And actually, Tony and I took the golf cart down the length of the runway, which was just incredible because I've never done something like that before. And you think, oh, you're just going to ride this down the runway, and it's just really simple. But the immensity of the project was really shown to us firsthand when we were that part of the runway. So tell me now, this widening project, how did this project come about? And then we're going to talk about what it really means for Westmoreland County. But first tell me how the project first got off the ground.
Well, the addition of Spirit Airlines about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, they came with a proposal to provide service to Florida and Myrtle Beach, and we thought that it was a good idea for us, and they thought it was a good idea for them, and we started providing service with Airbuses. There are 145 passenger airplanes and 175 passenger airplanes. Well, when you're dealing with a runway that's 100 feet wide, that's perfectly safe. There's no issues with a 100-foot wide runway. But when you have any type of challenging weather conditions, you prefer to have a wider runway. There's a lot of things that pilots can do to land on a 100-foot wide runway, but if they had 150-foot wide, they can make decisions based on that. So that 150-foot wide, the extension or the widening of the runway allows a safer condition when there's challenging weather conditions in the winter, when there's a crosswind, storms, that type of thing. It makes it easier for the pilot to hit their mark. And it's a safety issue, and that's why we added the additional 50 feet. And we feel that when we would have challenging weather conditions, and sometimes the pilots would divert to other airports, other larger airports, now they won't have to do that. They can still land.
Okay, so that is something that I actually never thought of, that as a safety issue. I was thinking of it more as a volume and what kinds of planes now you can bring in. So what does the wider runway mean to the region, the people here in the region?
Well, the total project cost of the two operations, first thing I talked about was widening, but we also strengthened. The strengthening means the amount of weight that we can bear on the runway daily. And when we were doing the Airbuses, they were fine. They were okay for an occasional use, which 3 or 4 times a day wasn't too bad. And that's what we were doing. Now, with the strengthening portion of the project that we also completed at the same time we did the widening, now we can take them all day, every day. So that means if they want to expand service, if they want to increase the amount of times they land, we have no restrictions. So now our weight capacity is up to 200,000 pounds, and the largest aircraft that Spirit is using at our airport right now is about 165,000 pounds. So we're well within the realm, well within the limits. We can take it all day, every day, and hopefully that's what happens down the road.
So now, has any other airline shown interest in either bringing new service or expanding their service to Westmoreland County?
Well, that's the question we always go out and ask. We have been talking with a lot of different companies. We still run charters to Biloxi. We run charters to Atlantic City, and that's with a Boeing 737-800 series, again, 150,000-pound airplane. So this is the reason we did what we did. Now that we're servicing those type aircraft, we can now move on into the next step. Now that people know, people don't want to ask for a 150-foot runway because they always feel that you're going to ask them to participate in paying for it. But now that we got it, they're going to be talking about it, and that's what we're anticipating down the runway, so to speak.
Okay, well, let's talk about Spirit Airlines here for a moment, because you have, in addition to this beautiful new wide runway, you have now service to Spirit. It's back, and let's talk about where people can go from the Arnold Palmer Regional Airport if we want to get away from this winter weather that's coming up in western Pennsylvania.
Well, we had the COVID situation start up for us, in essence, about March, and there had been a major reduction in air service, and we have all dealt with this. All the businesses that have been hit hard by the COVID crisis, we're all part of that, and we will continue to be as safe as we can. But one of the things that the air service was available to us, Myrtle Beach and Fort Lauderdale and Orlando were always our chosen destinations. Well, we lost Fort Lauderdale, and for the whole month of September, while we were shut down, we lost everything. So now when the Spirit decided to come back, they said that, okay, we're going to start up Myrtle Beach. And that was all that they were going to do. And then a couple weeks ago, they called and said, listen, we're going to go ahead and start up Orlando because we think that it's viable for your area. And they are. We are getting ready. We are doing this, and we're looking at the numbers down the road, and it looks really good. I mean, our proposed numbers for reservations are moving up. So we're excited about the prospects of other cities. And a matter of fact, we are going to have a chance for everybody to vote on what's important to them. Do they want to go to Myrtle Beach? Do they want to go to Orlando? Would they want Myrtle Beach year-round? Is Fort Myers important year-round? All those things. We're going to do this, and it's going to be out on our airways. You can do it on Facebook, you can do it on Twitter, you can do it on Instagram. Vote. I mean, it's time to let people know, let us know where you want to go and how often do you want to go there. So we're excited about it, and it's all good.
Well, it's great that we actually have a voice. I think that's the first time I've ever heard of an airport asking the actual customers where they want to go and kind of designing their trips around what people are needing. So that's pretty cool. You talked about COVID-19, and of course all of us have been affected by that. And a lot of people might still be a little bit worried about flying, heading to the airport. So what are some of the health guidelines that are in place for safe airline travel coming out of the pandemic?
Well, a couple different things. Just to deal with it initially for when we get back to business here, we have the plastic shields in place. We have the spacing in the terminal building, so we have the social distancing. We installed a air system put into our air handlers. It's an ultraviolet light system in our air handler that actually cleanses the air every time it goes through the air handler. Does it do anything for COVID? Who knows? It does things for viruses. It kills viruses and bacteria, and we're excited about having it. We posted it on all our doorways to let people know that we have that, to at least help us. And who knows what its capabilities are. We were told that it kills bacteria and it cleans the air very well, so we installed that. We have the plastic shields in place, the social distancing in place. We all wear masks. You must wear a mask when you come into the terminal building. Our people are protected as far as gloves are concerned, TSA, and masks are concerned. We have plenty of personal protective equipment, and we're going to keep you as safe as we can. And we also sanitize the building every day. It's with a sprayer that we have purchased. It's a hydrogen peroxide-based unit, and we spray the terminal building every day. So we're doing everything within our power to keep it safe.
Okay, you talked me into it. I'm taking a flight to Fort Lauderdale right now. But anyway, okay, let me ask you, well, not ask you, but I guess the runway is already open. The new runway is already open. And again, let's not forget that Gabe said you can vote, listeners, for your favorite destination. You can leave comments and additional thoughts as well. This is, again, on Facebook and Instagram, and also palmerairport.com. So make sure that you vote. It is voting time, and this vote really counts. So it will give them an idea of where you want to head on your next vacation. And how can people really, if they decide they want to go away, and this is the airport they want to fly out of, and I don't know why they wouldn't, because free parking and short lines and just a lovely, lovely place to take off to a destination. But how will people connect with you regarding their flight plans? How do you want them to get a hold of you?
Okay, as far as the vote is concerned, it's like I said, it's on our Facebook page, our Instagram, and Twitter page, where the airport is on all of those. If they want to vote or comment, that's the best way for them to do that. By them using the airline, by them booking out of Latrobe, that tells Spirit that we are a viable option. We are a very small airport. We know that. We understand that. We have one airline. We know that. We understand that. We are very proud of what we do and how we do it, and we're a grassroots campaign type thing. Spirit is kind of enthusiastic about the way we do business because we are such low key. And that's what makes us nice. It makes it nice to come here. It makes you comfortable to come here. And they know that you're going to be treated, you're going to be treated right when you come to Latrobe.
Well, I certainly would fly out of here in a heartbeat. So you've done a great job. Is there anything that you'd like to add that we really haven't talked about, Gabe? Again, listeners, I am here with Gabe Monzo. He is the Westmoreland County Airport Authority Executive Director, and we've been talking about the Arnold Palmer Regional Airport and all of the new, exciting news happening here. So anything else that we forgot to talk about, Gabe?
Well, we do have some expansion of the terminal building happening right now. We are moving some things around to expand the hold areas downstairs. We realized that they were rather small. So with that expansion, we can do more spacing, more social distancing, and this is a very fluid situation. We'll adapt to whatever we have to adapt to. And the more business that we provide, I think business generates more business. So we're excited about down the road. Who knows what'll come? More airlines, different airlines, who knows? We don't know, and we're looking forward to working through it with everybody. And, it's a concerted effort from the region, not just the airport.
This is Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. If you have a suggestion for a topic, or if your nonprofit organization would like to be featured on this program, call us during regular business hours at 724-216-1200.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of Citizens Fiber.
It's Lora Kay from WHJB Morning Show here with Westmoreland County Airport Authority Executive Director Gabe Monzo. Thanks for joining me today, Gabe.
Thank you, Laura.
Let's talk a little bit about, you have been busy. I mean, I know the airlines have not been busy during the COVID, but you here at Arnold Palmer Regional Airport have been busy with all kinds of upgrades. Tell me all of these things that you've done within the past year that's going to really affect the travel quality for your customers coming to Arnold Palmer.
Well, there's a lot of things that people don't see, and there's some things that happened. We didn't know if we were going to be able to get any of the construction done because of the virus and things, but we were deemed essential as far as the governor was concerned, and most of the projects that we had planned for this year came to fruition. One of the things we had planned for about a year and a half now was a shutdown in September. Well, it just so happens that September is I don't want to say the best year or best time of the year not to fly, but that's the time where everybody goes back to school normally, and that's not a big flying month for the airlines. Most of the airlines slow down in September, then they start to pick back up again in November. Well, it just so happened that we had planned our shutdown for September of this year, and we were able to get the complete project done. Even stuff that we were supposed to do next year, we got done this year. So we won't have to shut down the runway again, and that's very beneficial for us. I mean, it's terrible what we're going through as far as the virus is concerned, but it's good that we got the project done. But there are other things that we did as part of these projects. We put a brand new boarding bridge in. That's our Gate 2. We never thought we'd have Gate 2, Arnold Palmer Regional Airport with 2 gates. You have to actually figure out which gate you're getting onto. So, we don't want you going to Myrtle Beach when you're supposed to be going to Fort Lauderdale. But anyhow, we have the new boarding bridge. We bought all brand new equipment for the pushbacks and the tugs and the potable water and the lab carts, and no one really thinks about that kind of stuff, but that's all important stuff that makes the wheels go for the airlines, and we have it all now. We're in great position to move forward with our air service. The bridge, the expansion of the terminal building, we put concrete out on the ramp. We used to have asphalt. We used to have 8-inch asphalt, which held up very well for a long, long time. And as the larger airplanes came into the airport, we noticed that there are dimples in the paving. When an airplane sits and the wind blows, it works the airplane back and forth, and it makes the paving get dimples in it. So we cut out all those dimples and put in 15 inches of concrete in all the spaces. So, that's a lot of concrete, and we did all that too. So we're very fortunate that we got the things done that we got done. We didn't have an air show this year, so we were able to move through all the processes without, worrying about getting the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds here. So it all worked out very well for us.
Okay, so one of the things I'm sure that people were thinking is, where did you get the funds to do all of these vast improvements? Because you've done a lot in the past year. So where are those funds coming from?
Well, that's kind of exciting because what it is, it's a self-sustaining operation. What happens is when you get an airline such as Spirit, every person that gets on the airplane here in Latrobe and flies wherever, we get paid $4.50 from their ticket. So that $4.50 comes back to the airport. So last year we had 150,000 passengers. So you do the math. That all comes back to us. Now, what does that mean for the airport? Now, that's certainly not enough to do the $18 million project that we just finished. There's another pot of money, which is called the Airport Improvement Program, and that's all based on airline taxes. It doesn't have anything to do. If you don't fly an airplane or fly in an airplane, you never pay into that. So the general taxpayer that doesn't fly, he's not participating in that. But the people that do fly, there's a little piece of each ticket that comes out that goes towards that airline improvement program. So that's where the big dollars come from. We got somewhere in the range of $18 million in funding through the AIP program. That's huge for us. And, thank you to all the people, the airport authority, the politicos, anybody that helped us get that and acquire that. It was a concerted effort to get all those funds dedicated to Latrobe. So we got all that, but they tell you that you need 5% local share. So 5% of 18 million, that's not cheap. That's not a cheap ticket. So what happens is all those, what they call passenger facility charge, that $4.50 that you pay in your ticket, we use that as local share, and that's what pays the local share. So there's not any outlay of county money to do the capital project. So it works out well for everybody. We have a wonderful facility. Most of the stuff that we did was without bond money. Some of the things that we're doing in the future will be without bond money, and we're excited because we keep getting PFCs every time that airplane takes off. Not when you land, only when you take off. So when you leave Latrobe, we get $4.50 of that. So it's an exciting time.
Okay, well, that was a really complete answer. Thank you. Now I'm beginning to understand more about the airline industry. And how long, by the way, have you been involved? We were kind of just on our own in the break talking about your history and how you came here. But was it since 1983? Is that what you said?
April 11th, 1983, I started at this airport.
And you're getting a little teary-eyed. Thinking about it. So, well, we've certainly enjoyed you being here, and of course, we've been here many times and worked with you through WHJB, and it's just always a pleasure. One of the things that you mentioned just a little while ago was that the air show was canceled for this year. It was as big a disappointment to everyone else as it was to me, because I enjoy coming to the air show every year. So, what about next year? What are we thinking might happen? I know you probably at this point can't give us concrete dates or, yes, this is definitely going to happen, because I think there's a lot of different factors that we have to consider. But tell me a little bit about what's being planned for next year.
Well, I will give you a concrete date, because if it's going to happen, it'll be Memorial Day weekend next year. And last we heard, 2 weeks ago, is the Blue Angels have every intention of withholding to their schedule. So as far as we know right now, the air show is scheduled. We're going to continue planning. We don't know where we'll be with the COVID virus and that type of thing. So we're going to plan. We might have a drive-in air show. We might have to change some things, do some things different, do some social distancing. We'll do it. And as long as the people will participate with us, we're going to, try to make sure that we're available if they want to come.
So tell me, can you give me any kind of sneak peek into some of the things that we'll be able to see at next year's air show?
Well, let me tell you what we're chasing, and then whatever ends up happening, then you can deal with it accordingly. The Blue Angels are on the schedule. We know that they're on the schedule. It's going to be a yes or no from them, and we'll deal with that as it comes. If they don't come, we probably won't have an air show. Okay, that's just the way it is. In order to have a reasonable air show, you need the big acts, the big jet teams. Some of the things we're chasing is all the static displays, the F-22, the Joint Strike Fighter, the J-35, all those types of acts we're still after. We're after NASA. NASA has a very nice exhibit that they bring to certain airports during air show season, and we already have our request into them. So those are the kind of things that we have. And like I said, we don't know what we're going to be allowed to do next year. We don't know what we'll be capable of doing next year. But for all intents and purposes, we're planning for it. And by next Memorial Day, next year Memorial Day, everybody's going to be itching to go out and do something. And being that it's an outside event and you can stand almost anywhere and watch it, and we're very fortunate to have that, and we'll figure it out. We'll do something.
I actually, for many years, didn't come to the air show in person because the flight path of the Blue Angels is right over my yard, my backyard. So I just kind of pull a lawn chair out of the garage and sit down and wait for them to go over. My cats are never very happy about the air show weekend, but this is certainly something that I'm sure all of us are going to look forward to. And I think we're going to be itching to go out and see something exciting a lot sooner than Memorial Day. So.
You would hope. But like I said, we're planning on it. We're doing everything we think we need to do in order to set ourselves up for that, and that's where we're at.
Just to kind of wrap things up, let me ask you this, and I don't know, maybe you have an answer, or maybe you can just give me your thoughts. What's next for the Arnold Palmer Regional Airport? What are some things that you have in the works, or some things on your wish list that you would like to bring to the airport?
Well, certainly on the wish list is cargo. We think that with Amazon and those kind of companies that are out there, UPS, Federal Express, we think that we will fit a bill for rapid use, rapid deployment of their kind of resources. We think that with the size of our runway now, we can do that. I'm not talking 747s. I'm talking rapid deployment of their type of business. Whatever it might be, we're going to adapt to it. We feel that, as far as Spirit is concerned, we have nowhere to go but up. We think that other airlines will be capable of looking at us now that we're 150 foot wide, because airlines like Delta, United, those kind of airlines, they don't normally look at you unless you're at least 150 foot wide. Yeah, we're all, you always hope that you get more service, especially for the business traveler. So those are the kind of things we're looking at. The increased size in hangars, more business, more fuel, and like I said, the possibilities are endless. Would love to expand this terminal building so we can have lots more room here, and that's certainly one of the big projects down the road.
And again, it's Lora Kay, and I've been sitting today with Westmoreland County Airport Authority Executive Director Gabe Monzo, giving us so much information on the Arnold Palmer Regional Airport, all the exciting news about Spirit Airlines and the new, wider, longer runways and what that will enable us to do. Hey, don't forget, you can vote for your favorite destination. Gabe is actually really wants to know where you would like to go. You can send them a letter or an email, but let's go onto social media. This will be available on Instagram, on Facebook, and Twitter, and also at palmerairport.com. So they want to know what destinations are important to you, the customers here in Westmoreland County. Thanks again, Gabe, for being with me today and for being on Community Connections.
Thank you, Laura, and thanks for all the help you've given us in the past, and we're certainly looking forward to a long future.
This has been Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings in and around Westmoreland County. Join us again next week on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of Citizens Fiber,